So South Africans are furious about the crowning of the Igwe and Igbo in East London. Directly translated, King of the Igbos in East London. So in this video, I'm going to show you the massive backlash, including 3 people injured, cars burnt a few hours ago. But if you stay with me all the way till my biblical reaction, you'll discover some information that I guarantee you have not heard before, but we'll close it in style to show you that South Africa will prosper. You ready? Press like, let's go.
What the Igbo community has done is to actually work against the spirit and letter of the law and actually attempt a coup d'etat in King Vululwande's jurisdiction, because where they claim chiefdom is in another kingdom's jurisdiction. So in terms of the law, that is grossly illegal and is against the spirit and letter of the law, and therefore is an insult to the kingdom of Amachakhabe.
Never happened that anyone calling himself or herself as a traditional leader can invade kingship of another without introducing himself or herself. He then hosts a ceremony. That is why, therefore, we are outraged, and that is why, of course, even our people themselves are very, very angry as we speak. Even the houses of traditional and all traditional leaders, not only in the Eastern Cape, throughout South Africa, are actually supporting us because it seems that some Nigeria have taken us for a ride for quite some time.
And what we intended doing, not only writing them, but to summon him to our kingdom to come and explain the presence of the said individuals and his credentials. Who is he? From what tribe is he? What connection does he have with the Nguni South people of South Africa? What claim does he have, if any, with the Eastern Cape province in South Africa?
Eastern Cape, I guess khulumeni iqiniso bafethu anifani ne-KZN.
Eastern Cape, let's talk, guys. You are not like the KZN.
Angeke bafethu, ngeke.
Never forget it.
If lento yayenzwa these guys from Nigeria,
if what these guys from Nigeria did there,
they wouldn't even dare to try to coronate a king in KZN. Ngeke bafethu anifani.
Never.
Eastern Cape, I guess khulumeni iqiniso.
Eastern Cape, let's tell the truth, guys.
Your kings have won battles against Abelungu and there you guys.
Your kings fought against the British and.
Guys have a rich history. Kodwa, you are not representing that. Of always abantu bafuna ukuthatha umhlaba, abantu bafuna unicolonizer.
Yeah, of fighting people who are trying to colonize you.
Ngeke uyibone into ukuthi a Nigerian illegal immigrant.
You're not gonna find a Nigerian illegal immigrant,
illegal foreigner, come and coronate a king. In KZN, I dare them to try it. I dare them to try it.
It wasn't even gonna start in KZN.
The kings there, my chiefs and kings, local kings, they would have sorted this thing out quickly. No, I'm not encouraging.
I'm not inciting violence.
I'm not encouraging violence. No. Kodwa, the Nigerians know very well that they will never dare and coronate a king in KZN. Never. Because the thing that happened there, Eastern Cape, is ukdelela. The rest of us as a country.
It's disrespect of everyone in the country.
Kodwa, umele ukuthi this thing, kings and chiefs, Eastern Cape, they must handle this. King Daliembo, who's very vocal and everything. Why is he quiet?
King Dalinjebo, why is he so quiet? The one in this video here.
Right on this matter. Why is he handling it, if he's handling it, under carpet? Why anga be so vocal? The same way that he's been vocal against other issues, which I agree with him on those issues. The issue of Israel and Palestine. He was very vocal. Got to a land that is happening in his own land.
But this one happening in his own land.
Utulile. I guess kulumikweni isoba.
He's quiet. Oh my king, can we speak the truth, sir?
I guess kulumikweni so your excellency, your majesty. Nege.
No, your majesty, no ways.
These
people have disrespected you, your majesty.
And then when
to do what they did,
and they are confronted informally, so they try to change the story. It's what whatever. No, they were coronating
that no, this is just cultural.
A king. They were coronating a king there.
So a few hours ago, people came out to march in Emonti, East London, and this is what went down.
They moved towards California, an area around here that is, it's quite occupied by quite a number of foreign nationals, and in that area, that's where 12 vehicles have been burnt, and the 2 other people were injured in that area, making the number of people who are injured to go up to 3. There's a couple of shops also in that area that were attempted to be broken into. We don't know what is the main intent for this. The police are trying to, bring calm to this particular situation. They have rubber bullets that are being fired all over to try and get the crowds to be dispersed and taken back to where this march had started. If you see that gust that is coming out from there, that is the gust of the vehicles that have been burnt. We've seen a couple of other vehicles that have, been broken. Windows are crashed, and this is in retaliation after that young boy was stabbed at the back. They were saying when they were speaking that this is because someone had stabbed this boy, and the person that is said to be the one who stabbed this boy is said to be a foreign national. I overheard them speaking. They were talking about the number of vehicles that were damaged, and also stand grenades being fired out there by the police that are standing right behind us, and as you can see, they're trying to disperse the crowds, this is what this peaceful march has turned into. It has turned into a very, very violent protest. No one knows how this is going to be resolved at this point. We understood earlier on that there seemed to be common understanding between the police and the marchers that no violence should be incited, but we can see now that that understanding has turned out to be to have been forgotten about. People have gotten out of hand and got things to be at this point currently. It is going to be a very long day, I tell you, because it appears right now that the marchers are not intending to retreat. They are trying to do as much as they can to sort of demonstrate their concern. I mean, we don't know really if this is the best way, though, of doing that, of demonstrating their concern. These are the visuals that you're getting live from Kukombo City in the Eastern Cape about a peaceful march that has turned into a violent one. You see a vehicle on the other side where the police are that has been broken into, that has seem to have been quite distracted.
And of course, the coronation of the Igwe na East London is coming when just 5 days ago, March, the organization founded by Jacinta Ngobese, which is against illegal immigration, just celebrated 1 year, and this is what was happening at that celebration. The land is ours.
We are excited started the Section SA because this issue of illegal undocumented foreigners has been something that has really been destroying the soul of our country. So we really appreciate the March and March and other political affiliations, other NGOs who are saying enough is enough. We've really had enough. Our people are suffering. We have 12 million of our own people without jobs. We have the highest sustainable unemployment rate in the world. Our youth are being destroyed by international drug syndicates who have identified South Africa to be their playground. And 54% of our people don't know where the next meal is going to come from.
Today to support March and March. It's their first anniversary, and more importantly, we have to acknowledge the invitation because we are all patriots. We have the same goal. You know that we started this journey 6 years ago, and we're excited that the ideology, that we started is continuing. And we can see that more South Africans are now awoken. More people are seeing that we have a problem when it comes to illegal immigration as a country.
Do we have our own people who don't have jobs here? Do we have our people who are unemployed here? They're busy looking at us from these buildings that they took for free. They leave their countries and come and disrespect us here. Don't you remember what white people did to us? They also came just visiting. After that war, they say white people discovered us. One day foreigners are gonna say they discovered you. In your land. Please show me that you are angry people. When we leave here, they're gonna open these shops again. It will mean we're here for nothing. I want when we pass here, we must pass the message that we don't want them here. They must go back home. When we pass here, I want each one to sing like you're singing for the future of your children. But when we get there to the edge, we'll sit down. Is anybody in a hurry? Is anybody in a hurry? No! I want you to take charge on your road, your road. We are not in a hurry. We can relax here. They're just rushing us to open their shops. We're gonna sit down here so they don't open shops. Whose land is this? It's ours. Whose land is this? It's ours. Whose land is this? It's ours. So South Africans are fed up with how the ANC has let go of the borders the last 30 years, and illegal immigrants who are often linked to crimes and they can't even get caught because there are no fingerprints, there's no ID books. And also people feel like there's a competition for resources. Illegals come in and then they buy the shops, but some criminally steal buildings, hijack buildings, and they hijack houses now. So people have had enough, and the ANC has just said one thing: xenophobia, 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 and nothing else. So they were celebrating 1 year of this, and you saw Inkatha Freedom Party was there. Johannesburg mayoral candidate Herman Mashaba was also there. Operation Dudula was also there. And quite interesting, mayoral candidate of Johannesburg from the DA also has strong words to say about the same situation.
The zero tolerance stance on illegal immigration.
Yes.
So, some people might say, oh, Helen and the DA are going populist now. You know, this sounds like...
There's nothing populist
xenophobic
about the rule of law, Mike. Nothing populist about the rule of law. There's not a country in the world that anybody can go to, irrespective of whether they are there legally or not. There's nothing populist about saying if you go to a country, you must be there legally. If anybody says that's populist, they don't know what they're talking about. So the bottom line is that when people are in South Africa, they must be here lawfully. They mustn't break the law. They mustn't get forged papers. They must go through a proper process. Now, we've seen how corrupt the process is, and over 200 people are currently being charged and prosecuted for corruption in the Department of Home Affairs, which is a good start. And then the Home Affairs Department must get very efficient about processing people's applications for refugee status or for permanent residence or for whatever people are applying. Yes, we've got to fix Home Affairs. But if people want to stay in South Africa, they have to be here lawfully. And there is nothing populist about saying that.
So yes, before I give my biblical reaction, I'm going to say, number one, I believe in rule of law. Number two, I believe borders must be well managed. Number three, I believe everyone must be documented. Number four, rule of law, rule of law, rule of law. So what I'm going to say next is not to defend anyone, but just a little bit of education. So why were these people so disrespectful? Well, let's talk about this. There's about 45-50 million Igbos in Nigeria. They tend to be Christians. They tend to be entrepreneurial. One of the phrases that they have is Igbo enezwe, which means, direct translation, the Igbos have no king. So what we're dealing with here, outside of all the other matters about people must be in legally, the government must do the right thing, but what we're dealing with here is a cultural misunderstanding. So the Igbo have no king. And what that means is, if you think about our culture in South Africa, I have a kingdom right next door, Eswatini, where my great-grandfather was before my grandfather moved to South Africa. We have kings who have divine authority, and then it's a top-down structure, and then the king rules over a certain territory, and therefore the people in the territory. Now, the Igbos do not have that. They have a completely decentralized system, a very egalitarian system. They don't have kings that claim a territory and therefore the people. So what they do, they use the word king, but it's more like a community judge. Okay, no authority over a territory. It's literally like the chairperson of the Igbo Stokvel. The king does not come with divine authority because he was born from another king. It actually comes from the people who kind of say, we trust you as the best guy. If I do business with another Igbo guy and he rips me off, at least if I come to you and tell you to speak to him, he'll probably listen. Okay, so this problem also happened in Ghana, where they had an Igwe, and the people of Ghana also lost their marbles like we lost our marbles. Now, I know they should have known the culture of where they are and know this is going to cause problems. But I'm just sharing because we're in Africa, right? I'm just sharing that they don't have a top-down authority structure like we have with our kings and chiefs, but it doesn't have to do with the territory. The territory was just description like this is because they are Igbos in East London. And one of the things that they did after the problem in Ghana is that the council in Nigeria actually wanted them to stop using the word Igwe and start using another word that means just leader of the community. But they called him Igwe of East London. And as you can expect, our kings, because we have kings in our culture, in the South African tribes, there's no Igbo enwe here. However, there's something that South Africans don't look at. Number one, how do you get so many people to show up and march and burn things? You know how you do it? You make them unemployed. Unemployed people get angrier than employed people. You have them not moving up in life. When people don't move up in life, they get angrier. And I think one of the things that gets conflated with this, and I think it's a mistake, is when we start saying we don't work and there are these foreigners. I absolutely believe the foreigners must be dealt with. However, this is what's adding a lot of anger to this. This is our economic growth as a country from 1994, and if you follow the trend, you realize it's a downward trajectory coming down to 0.5 in 2024, and we've still played around there up till today. So look at this. 1994, we were growing at 3.2, 3.1, 4.3, dropped down 4.2. This is when gear kicked in. Economy went 4.6, 5.3 per year, 5.6, 5.4. This is up to the end of Mbeki. People say, oh, it was a jobless growth. Nonsense. The number of employed people doubled over this time in South Africa. The number of new black middle class, including me, this is when I moved out of township to suburbs, to business, to enjoying all sorts of things. It's because it was based on this growth. I built a business this time, so I know things were rocking, opportunities were moving. Professionals came up. Everything you can imagine, people moved up. Okay, then we had 2008 when Zuma came in, but it's also the credit crunch. Then, of course, because of the credit crunch, we dropped down to minus 1.5. And usually when there's a drop like that, it bounces back up. We came back up to 3. That's it. That was the last time under Zuma. Economy just kept going down and going down and going down. Now, this was under Ramaphosa, and this was COVID lockdown, and of course then the bounce up to 4.9. That's just the bounce. Once the bounce is complete, we came back 2.1, 0.8, 0.5. We've been staying there. When economic growth goes down, anger goes up. Let's compare our economic growth to what was happening with our comrade friends in China. 1994, they were growing at 13% per annum. 11, 10, 9, 7.9. That's been their lowest. Look at that, 9.2, 10, 14% in 1 year, down to 9, 9.7. Can you see what's going on here? Credit crunch didn't touch them. Lockdown, they had a longer lockdown, yet it only brought them down to 2.3. Then they bounced up to 8.6. By 2020, they were at 5%, which we've only hit once in the last 30 years. Because this is what their economic growth looks like, guess what? 800 million Chinese were pulled out of poverty in about a 30-year period, and China went from third world to first world. Very simple, because of economic growth. Let's look at our BRICS friends, India. In 1994, they were growing at 6.7. We've never touched it in the last 30 years. 7.6, 8.8, 7.9. This was the commodity boom. 7.7, 7.9, 8.5, 8.3, 9.7. Bouncing back from COVID, and by 2020, they're about 6.5. Do you see what's happening? We're not doing as well as we need to. And our comrades just refuse and stick to their policies which block economic growth. What's the result? People don't move up in life. They don't find jobs. Unemployment stays up. Anger stays up. Even Russia, which is a young country coming out of communism, has performed better than South Africa as far as economic growth is concerned. So here's what happened. People go on about, we need to take this, we need inclusive growth. I don't know what exclusive growth is, because why did it not exclude me? Why did it not exclude all of my friends? In that time when we were going here, I know every single friend of mine got a new client. If they opened a shop, they did well. If they put out CVs, they would get jobs. Why? Because there's growth. It opens opportunities. A lot of people think they're not good business people. No, the economy is not growing. That's why you struggle in business. There are a lot of people who think maybe their CV is not good. No, the economy is not growing. That's why no one will take the CV. There are a lot of people who think maybe I'm not good at my craft. No, the economy is bad and it's sabotaging you. If you were around this time, you would have realized that your marketing is not as bad as you think it is. The economy is just not expanding and leaving space for you in between. So why has it dropped like this? Well, policies, discussions about expropriation and all sorts of stuff cuts business confidence. It scares investors away. And so when you have less investors, the economy doesn't grow. The illegal immigration issue is very important. It's very key. Law and order matters. But the worst thing that's happened, our government has spoken badly against economic growth, playing grievances about black and white, and in the process sabotage the economy. China used to play the same games. Someone says, oh, but they're all Chinese. Yes, but they found a way to pit different Chinese against others. The economy was a dog. It was growing like ours was growing, until when the guy came in who said, we are done with this Marxist oppress versus oppressor nonsense, because they had it too. They had the Chinese who were the oppressors and the Chinese who are the oppressed. The same way that our government plays whites are the oppressors, blacks are the oppressed, and then ignore Indians and coloreds and make them not black enough, not white enough, and they must just fend for themselves in the middle there. So China had the same thing, but when they stopped that and they started putting economic growth at the top, 800 million of them came out of poverty, and we are driving Chinese cars. Today, a growing economy gets genuine respect that does not come from there's no white genocide, Trump is doing No respect when you're shouting in the streets. You know how we get respect as a nation? You grow your economy and you do better. You start exporting things that other countries use. That's how you get respect. Because instead of growing the economy, they spend time pushing propaganda so that let's keep our people angry, so that our people can help us with what? Instead of my biblical reaction. All hard work brings a profit, but mere talk leads only to poverty. Why is South Africa struggling economically and not doing as well as we could? Because we're a big mouth country. We're a country where the government, ANC, teaches people to talk about what was taken from them, how they were oppressed, and on, to put anger in their people so that they talk too much and they don't even realize that your job, your business is not sabotaged by apartheid. We are not living in the legacy of apartheid. We are living in the legacy of bad policy. And then, what do? We just talk. It's our land, it's our country, it's our minerals. Still broke. Instead of a government that says, guys, let's open up the economy, make sure it grows, and then tells the citizens, guys, if you work, we're making sure that your work pays. And let's go. We're going to grow this economy. We're aiming for 10% per annum. If you put a CV out there, just don't give up. In 3, 4, 5 weeks, you will have a job. If you're starting a business, just don't give up. We're going to get the economic growth to 10%. Trust me, you will find a client somewhere. If you're starting a business and you need funding, don't worry. We are bringing in lots of money. The doors around you, somebody will be able to give you funding for that. That is what brings a profit. Hard work. What does that mean? When you enable work to pay. That is how you measure whether work pays, by the number of economic growth. So if you go to China with the same idea you failed at and you try it there, it will work easier than when you are here. How do I know? That number at the top says so. So all hard work brings a profit, but mere talk leads only to poverty. So I hope if you're listening and you're a South African, think about this. Let's stop talking, especially about apartheid, about the system, the economy is in white hands, and blah. Okay, what have you accomplished after that? I heard that in 1996, I heard it in 2006, I heard it in 2016. Guess what? The shacks just kept growing. No. Hard work brings a profit, not a government who takes from others and gives to others. Hard work brings a profit, assuming you are in a country where hard work pays. Because hard work does not always pay when policy blocks you. And you see that with economic growth, we grow less than the people around us. And that, for me, is the biggest problem. So, let me hear your thoughts below, but no man can serve two masters. Either you love the one or hate the other, or you'll despise the one and honor the other. You can't serve God and Karl Marx. God says hard work brings a profit. Karl Marx says taking from whoever else, because I'm a victim, may bring a profit. It never does. It's just mere talk, and it leads to poverty. Let's make history together. Cheers.